Hello everyone, welcome to Power Hour. Today's topic is going to be how to customize the SharePoint command bar to change, edit, and hide the different commands that are in that out-of-the-box toolbar that is the top of lists and libraries. So let's get started. Here's the stinger. All right, so I'm Laura Rogers. This is Joelle Jobson here in the window. And this is a show we've been doing for over 10 years, probably 11 years by now. It's been so long. And we do things out of the box that you can do just as business users, power users in Microsoft 365. Nothing super custom. So we're not programmers. So we try to kind of keep that in mind whenever we're teaching things. We don't have a programming background, so we try not to do things that are super technical. So anytime we have to look at anything involving something slightly complex with any kind of code or syntax, we are arriving at it kind of just from the perspective of somebody that's just a power user that doesn't inherently know JSON or code. So today's topic is how to customize the SharePoint command bar, but it does involve JSON. So we're going to be struggling through this with everyone else who is not a developer and figuring it out. But it's really neat what you can do. You can hide icons, change what they say, change what the not only what the buttons say, but what the little icon is next to the button. So there's a lot that you can do, and the link is in the there is a notes tab in Teams where you all are. And if you've never joined, we have a lively chat going on in Teams, which is what makes it fun because we kind of discuss things and have just lively discussions and questions the whole time. So we are in Teams. We are in a team called Power Hour, and I share on the Notes tab, I share any kind of relevant links that we have for that Power Hour. So I have a link to it's really just one main file on Microsoft Learn of all the reference for what we're doing today, and it explains everything. So I'm really just doing a visual explanation of Microsoft's document today. All right, let me go ahead and get my screen shared. Find that. There we go. All right, so here we are, and this is important. This is the file that I just shared with you. So it's command bar customization syntax reference, and this is going to tell you everything that we're going over today, and you can get extremely creative with this. You could spend hours playing with all the different settings and functionality that you're going to have in here. So this is kind of, you just kind of go to town with discovering all kinds of fun, interesting, very custom things you can do with just the out-of-the-box commands. So I will start off. The first thing that I want to tell you is that there are some commands in just a list or library that are going to hide and show based on your permissions. So I want to kind of reinforce that first so that you know that this is not something that you completely rely on and you have to go to every single list and library and do this, because there are some things that, like, for example, if I'm just an end user and I don't have the ability to manage a list or library, there are certain buttons I'm not going to see. So what I did was I went to this expense tracker list. This is just here in the Power Hour site. You all have access to this. And I went to the list settings for this example list and go to permissions, and I click so let me show you what it looks like when you by default, when you start off with a list, it looks like this, and it's just inherits whatever the permissions are from just the whole site. But what I do is I stop inheriting permissions, and I do this on lots of lists and libraries. I do this all the time. This is a good common practice. I'll go to the members group, edit the permissions, and just give them contribute. Because people who have edit permission level can manage the whole list or library. They can add columns, they can customize the Power App, they can change the public views, they can delete the entire list. So I like to just give them contribute, which gives them the ability to just be an end user in that list and add, edit, and delete items. So in this expense tracker, so I'm an owner, so of course I can do everything in here, but I've given this other user, so this other user is just an end user and has contribute rights. And so notice there are a few things that they can't see. So here's the owner and here's the contribute person. So owners, people who can manage the list have that new forms button that we talked about the last power hour. And then owners can go in and like customize the form. So if I am just an end user with contribute rights, notice that I can't customize the Power App. That's good, right? So there's certain things that you're already going to be able to restrict just by permission. So I just want to kind of get that out of the way first. So I'll close that one. So this is the list that we'll be kind of playing around with today. This is just this works on any list in library. We'll do some examples in the list and some examples in the library, but the key to where to get to kind of all the settings that we're doing is by, it's a view setting, it's view formatting. So for example, all items is a view. Now this list only has one view. It's just called all items, but your list might have a lot of different views. So unfortunately, this is something that you'd have to do on all the views. Now, one thing you can do is just customize it on the all items view and then use that view as you create all the other views. And that way, then they would all have that same setting, but it is specific to each view. So you go to the format current view, and then you go to advanced mode. So then this is where we're getting into JSON. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is very simple. You can all do this on your lists, is you can go try this out, try their sample code out. So what they're explaining is the names. This key here is the names, like the system names of all the different buttons and functionalities that are out of the box in lists and libraries. Like some are very obvious, like new folder, open, share, download. So some of these, as you can tell, apply to libraries and not lists, like download. That's just going to be a library because you're downloading a file. And so again, it kind of, some of them are kind of obvious as to what they mean, but that's your reference of what all the commands are. So, I'm going to explain all these other concepts here as we go, but I want to go straight to this first piece of code and just click copy. So all you have to do is copy it and I'm just going to do Control A to select everything to just wipe out what's already in there and then paste it. And then I can preview to see what it did. So let's go, I'll kind of explain what each of these things has done. So notice that it hid the new button. There is no more new button. That's huge. That's like just that one thing alone is something that people want to do a lot. So you hide the new button. But again, with permissions, if somebody didn't have permission to create new items, they would also not have a new button. So I'm hiding the new button, and then I'm taking the quick edit button and I'm setting it to primary, which means it's the very first button that's got a different color. That's what primary means. And I'm changing the text to say quick edit. I can even say like quick edit blah. And see, I can change what the text says. And then the icon name is edit table. So each one of these has, you have the ability to go look at custom icons. And I also, in our notes here, this is in Power Hour in the chat. Hey, everybody. Hey, Amy. This is where I put this button. This is that main file that I've been showing you. And this is the list of icons to go customize, to go find a different icon. So they all just have a system name. And you just pick an icon that you like this one says account browser. That's the name of the icon. So I could literally just go in here, instead of icon name edit table, I can just change it to this account browser. And all you do is you have to just change the word, and then it sees the new, and it uses the new icon. They're all just built in inherently. Primary true. And then this one is for the sharing button. So for icon name, look, it's blanked out. There's no icon, so it's just got the word share. So you can just put icon and just empty quotes. And then title is what it's going to say when you hover over it. So title is share this list. So that's just one sample of code. I'm going to go over the 3 different samples of code, and then we're going to deep dive into all these other this other kind of functionality that you can do with this JSON code. So the next little piece of code they provide you in here, it's got just 3 more examples. So we'll just kind of go through these and explain them. So this one is taking the new button and it's putting it position 2. So they start with 0 when you're counting the positions. So you can actually customize what position each button is in. So this is going to be 0, 1, 2. So the new button is at position 2. The share button is, it says it's at position 1 in the overflow section. So it actually has different sections. So this is 0, 1. So this is the overflow. When you click the ellipsis and you go have more buttons, so that's where we've moved the share button to. And then the alert me is position 3 in primary. So here's alert me right here. So I've just basically rearranged it and moved it here. So the alert me is usually hidden way over here, but we've kind of put it more front and center. So it's obvious, which I like that. I think more people should know about the alert functionality in SharePoint. So that's what that little set of code does. And then there's one more, and then we'll go dig into kind of some of these other settings. Okay, so this one is the share button. Let me preview that. So the share button says selection mode, single selection. And then it's gotten very specific. So you can make your button be very specific to a certain field having a certain value. So I'll just say like, I'll just say category equals household, not horsehold, household. And then, see, I did it with a number last time I did it. Let me see if let me just show you. When I tested this before, I'm just going to use this a number column since I know that I tested that and it worked. I'll put 800. So share item with an amount 800. So anything with an amount of 800, it would only show for that. So it's very specific. And then this delete button is going to say, in the multi-selection mode, delete multiple items. So now let's see what that looks like when I preview it. So share, so I go to one that has 800. Now it says share item with amount 800 here, but the other ones just have the word share. So then this one has 800. So it's just, you can just make the word say something specific according to whatever the value is in that field. And then the delete, if I select multiple items, this is in the multi-selection mode, then I can have this text say delete multiple items. So that's my custom text right there. So those are several different examples that it gives you of things that you can do in here. So let me see. Where's the chat? Go to the chat. Yeah, isn't it awesome? So I'm not even sure when they rolled this out. It was one of those things that's just kind of appeared there. Now, one thing that I don't think exists yet, and I know many people have already asked me about this because it's such a new feature, is this forms button. So I know that you can, if you take away somebody's permission and only give them contribute permission on the list, they will not have this forms button to do that, that custom new form we did in the last Power Hour. But there also, we couldn't figure out, I don't think there's a command yet. I think it's such a new setting that there is not a JSON command to do that. So yeah, I feel like that's just one of those things we have to wait for and it'll just appear in that documentation one day. So I want to show you just another example of some things that I've done here. So with, so I've got the new button and I've got it hidden. And then, save that. And then the edit in grid view, I customized it to say custom quick edit. And then share, it says share this list when you hover, when you look at it, and it doesn't have an icon. That's weird. That one's not really, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And then export has delivery truck. So this is an icon called delivery truck that I found in the list of icons. Now, it showed a minute ago. I have no idea why the delivery truck's not showing anymore. But what I did is, so if you, let me kind of just cut this out of here. Primary true. Okay. If you say primary true, it will not make it primary unless you change its position to 0. So it says position 0, so then it puts it there. So just saying primary true is not going to work, and it has to be that first thing. So even though it's like the third or fourth thing listed down here, I'm just saying position 0 so that it puts it first. And then this one says, this is that share cool thing. So it says 800. And if it says 800, it says share cool thing. So I'm going to have to change. Let's see if I can change this to a category again. Maybe I just need to use single quotes. Yeah, that's probably what I did wrong. So if category equals household, now it says share cool thing. So the other one doesn't say that. It just says share. And then the ones that say household say share cool things. So that's going to be specific to a certain column having a certain value. And does it show it in the, no, it doesn't do it in the drop down. It only does it in the command bar up at the top. So I haven't seen any kind of documentation on customizing the drop down bar. So that's going to have just the same options that it always has, unfortunately. Now, if you don't, now, obviously anybody can right click anywhere in a row to pick something from a drop down bar. In old school SharePoint, you used to be able to, if you just didn't include this first column, remember that, Joelle? If you just didn't include the first column, then you wouldn't have to worry about any, if you didn't want people clicking the drop down menu, then you just wouldn't have it. But with the modern SharePoint, you can just right click anywhere and have that drop down. Okay, so let's go look through and I'll show you what some of these references are. And you all just let me know if you have any questions as we go. But that was the meat of it. So that was really just the crux of how you can find what these commands are, what the reference like system names are, and then how you can change what they say, change what the icons are, change the order of them. John says, what does export do? Yes, you can export any list or library to Excel. And that's just a functionality that's always been there. And then, but I also want to show you in a library. So in a library, let's see if I go to my invoices library template and edit my current, no, not, sorry. I clicked edit view instead of format view, format current view. So I could go to a library and do the same thing. Let me see if I have another library. I feel like I did this already, but I could have just wiped out my settings. Yeah, I think I did. I just go to documents. No, it's not documents. Sorry. Okay, I'll just go back to the other one. Invoices library. Okay, so you have all these buttons at the top of your library, and you might want to hide some of them. I hit edit current view again. It's format view. So format current view. And then you might not want them to have some of these buttons. So let's see. Let's go look at what is the syntax for hiding something. Let's go back to that. So it's going to be, it's pretty simple. It's just the name of the key and then it says hide true. Let me just grab this whole thing. Just copy that. And then put that in here. I'm just going to adjust some of this. So you do need to have this syntax of having these curly brackets around each one. So I say new is going to be hidden. So now there's no new button. And then a lot of these are going to be very obvious. So let me just copy this and just kind of go down the page and show you all the things you can hide. Like this one, sync. Don't want people to sync. Look at that. No more sync button. And then what's the one for add shortcut to OneDrive? Let's see. Sometimes you just kind of got to search through this or just skim through it. There is one for adding a shortcut. See, there's pin to quick access. There's add shortcut. So let me see, I'll take add shortcuts and key, add shortcut. I feel like we have some customers that might benefit from this, right, Joelle? Getting rid of these buttons. If they've already synced it, just take the sync button away completely. This one's pinned to quick access, so that is going to be, I'll just copy that. Oops, I got to put a comma between these. So it's a pretty simple syntax that you use for this. Preview. So as you can see, I'm just taking things away. I'm just taking, oops, paste the other thing here. The next thing I want to hide is automate. And then maybe I want to hide integrate. A lot of them just have very just words that make sense, just the syntax just makes sense. You can just guess them. And so as you can see, I've got an upload, edit in grid view, export to Excel, and I can just keep hiding things. Do you all like that? Isn't that cool? Some people just want to really lock it down so that the end users can't do much. So I could hide a ton of stuff. So now all they can do is click upload. They don't have an export button. They don't have a sync button. They just, oh, I didn't hit save. I just hit preview and then I didn't hit save. So they all came back. But you get the idea of if you want people to still have that edit permission level, that default permission level, and just not have the buttons. So I feel like it's one of those things where, so if you give people the contribute permission level, they can't even edit the view formatting. So they can't change, like if you go in here and do this formatting that we're talking about, and change the formatting so that it's hiding buttons, then, but if people that have that default edit permission level on the list can also go right here and just put the buttons back. So that's just yet another reason to give them contribute access. If you want to lock things down, do that, and then maybe in combination with some of this stuff. All right. Okay, so let's see. We've got the reference here of what a lot of these commands are called. And again, the forms one hasn't been added to this yet. Let's see. Oh yeah, you've got end users experimenting with Power Apps and flows and messing up lists. Yeah. Oh, Amy says it looks like it's not case sensitive. I don't know. I haven't tried it both ways. It might be. I'll have to check that out. So I'll put a capital N for new here and see if it's case sensitive. It is case sensitive because when I change it to a capital N, it put the new button back and it's not hidden anymore. So it's case sensitive per all these listed here. So like the word automate has to be a lowercase a, the word export has to be a lowercase e, etc. Now, okay, so let's go over what some of these options are that you have for each button. Obviously, you can hide buttons. We've gone over that extensively of just how to make a button disappear. And then text is going to be where you can specify what you want the text to say. And we've looked at a couple of those where we just changed it, like I changed it to say custom quick edit, where you can just change what the text is of the button. And a lot of the times when you have something you've rolled out to end users and maybe they've never used a list before, or they're not sure what they're supposed to be doing in there, and some of the out-of-the-box buttons might not make sense to them, it might make sense for you to put a custom name of a button in here. So like, for example, this one is the expense tracker, and when people create a new one, I want them to have, maybe I could change the new button to say new expense. So I could just get very specific about what they're doing in this list instead of just new item. And then title, this is a little misleading, but this is going to be what the verbiage is when you hover over something. And then icon name, that's that list of icons. And you can actually search for something, like when I was looking for, like for the export button, I changed it to be a truck. I just searched for truck and then there it is. So that link is in the notes for you of all the icons that you can reference. And you can just put the name of some other icon, and then your button has a different icon. You can make it very custom. And then, sorry, back to the command bars, customization, so icons. And then primary is going to be that primary button styling. So this export button, I made it primary, and that was in one of those code samples to say, all right, not only if you make it primary, not only do you have to say primary true, you also have to put it in position 0, which is the very first position. And then you don't have to ever have to say primary false. It's just if you want it to be the primary, there's only one primary button. If you want it to be primary, you just say primary true. And then primary true, position 0. So then for all the positions, you can completely customize every single button here to say position 0, position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can customize. And then in this is the main list of icons, just the main section, but then you can customize them within this list to rearrange them to what order you want them to be in. But then you can also, as we saw, you have two different types of sections here. So you have primary and then overflow. And so in the overflow section, when you tell something that it's got a section type of overflow, like I showed you a minute ago, then if it's in the overflow, then it will have in the overflow 0 and then 1. And that's the order of things. So you could take a whole bunch of these out of the box icons and move them to the overflow if you want to, and tell it section overflow, and then rearrange their order in there. And then you also have the selection modes. Selection modes are going to be, all right, so it's going to be whether you're just looking at the whole list. So I haven't clicked on any items. I'm just looking at the list by default. These are going to be just the default buttons that show across the top. The selection mode is when I select something, then I have a selection mode of single selection. So then you can change what the buttons say when you have a single selection. So like right now, we have this comment button. So I could say I want the comment button to be hidden when we have a single selection, or I can say I want this button to say something specific when it's a single selection. And then the other mode is multi-selection. So that's where we talked about customizing, like, for example, customizing the delete button when you have multiple things selected. So it's just 3 different things. This is just no selection, single selection, and then multi-selection. So again, you can customize what buttons show for each of those modes. And then that's it. So let's see what kind of questions everybody has. Yeah, so Lisa, by default on every single site in SharePoint, every member has edit permissions on every list and library, and there is no ability to change that for the whole site. There used to be a long time ago. But what you have to do is every single time you create a list or library on your site, you would have to go to the list settings, permissions for this list, stop inheriting permissions, go to the members group, edit permissions, and then change it to contribute. Every list and library. I mean, there's a PowerShell way to do things like this, but if you want to really lock down, what commands people have, whether they can customize it with Power Apps, just customize public views, customize columns, everything they can do, those are the steps that you would take, again, on every list and library in your site. I know it's unfortunate. So if you've customized, so that's not something that you did wrong, Lisa, that is the default. If you've customized the command bar, do you need to temporarily remove the customization if you want to do one of the hidden things? You could just go to a different view. So, and again, that's just a view at a time. So for example, this list has an all items view. So if I go in here and format the view, customize all the buttons, and they're like I like them, and then I go to the another view, closed issues, then all the buttons are going to be back just normal. So what you can do as a list owner is you can just create a view, like I just have my own view and call it Laura, or you call yours Lisa. This is what I do in a lot of lists and libraries. I'll just go call it Laura, uncheck the make this a public view, and click save. And then I have my own view. I can do what I want with it. I can customize the buttons or not. I can add and remove columns, sort and filter however I want, and it's not going to confuse anybody else because they can't go to my view because it's a private view. And then your views that everyone else is looking at can be the ones that have the custom buttons. Does that make sense? You change permissions on the list, then got errors in Power Apps. I'm not sure what that error would be related to. So all the users would need to have contribute permissions to be able to add, edit, and delete things in that list. So, but I'm not sure what your errors would have been. Yeah, a private view is a great idea just in general. I usually create private views in every single list and library that I work in, if I'm in a customer's tenant or if in mine, because I'm always changing the columns and always rearranging things. So I like to just do that on my own view so I'm not messing up what everybody else is seeing. And a view has nothing to do with permissions. It has nothing to do with the data itself. It's just the way you like to slice and dice and filter and look at that list of information. Now, if someone has just contribute permissions on a list, they do still have the ability to create private views, but they can't mess with the public views. So technically, even if you change them to have contribute permission, they can still create their own private view and then have all the buttons back. And that says, what is restricted contribute? That is not an out-of-the-box permission level, but I can show you all some permission levels. So let's go to, you can go to just any list and go straight to the permissions and then just go, oh, this one already has unique permissions. Let me just go to the home and just go to the home page permissions. And I've probably done this in a few power hours before with the custom permission levels. But again, it's one of those things that I don't think enough people know about. So I'll go to advanced permission settings here, permission levels, and you can create your own. So these are the defaults. I'm not sure what you're seeing where you see one called restricted contribute, Annette. That might be something that somebody at your company created. Tiffany says, can you try creating a new view from the view you edited and see if your customizations stick? Yeah, they will. Because when you take a view and create a new view from it, it's going to get all the exact same settings and the buttons and everything and the formatting that were in the original view. So what you can do is you can take contribute and then make a copy of it. Don't mess with it. Copy the permission level and then say contribute, but no views. So they can contribute, can add, edit. Just make this real quick. Delete, not create personal views. So I'm creating a custom permission level and I'm unchecking this box for personal views and I'm clicking create. So that's the only thing that I changed from contribute. So now I've got a custom permission level. So now on my issue tracker list, I can go to list settings, go back to the permissions, and change my members to, instead of contribute, give them contribute but no views. So then whatever buttons I create on just all the default views of this list, no one will be able to mess with them. And they'll just get what they get and they won't be able to go create a private view and have all the buttons back. But unfortunately, I'm not sure if all that matters because users can still right-click on things and have everything in this list. Of course, it's not all the exact same things that are in the toolbar, but they still have this drop-down with all those options in it. But they will have less options if they have like a lower permission level, like they won't, like if you take away their permission to delete, they shouldn't have the delete button anymore, etc. Let's see. All right. Yep. Oh, that's what you called yours. Contribute, but no personal views. Yep. That is a common one that I do. All right. So I think I don't know, Joelle, do you think that there's anything else about that I think that's about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we've showed you how to go in here and copy and try out all their little sample codes, and those are going to work for any list and library. They're pretty generic. And then this one is the only thing specific about it is you just have to type the name of your field here. Like I typed, I think it was category. And then if it's a text field, you need to put single quotes around it to say if the field is a certain value, then show this certain button. And then again, you have several major concepts of whether to hide something, what the text is that it says, what the icon name is, or if you just don't want it to have an icon, like for that one, we put icon name and just put empty quotes. And then you can say if something's primary, which gives it that different background color, give it its position to rearrange things across the top and down the side in the overflow. So you have primary and overflow. And then you have the selection modes of no selection, single, and multi. And with all those factors involved, now you can go forth and completely customize your toolbars, have your own special icons, verbiage, and everything, and hide and show whatever you like. So that was a fun one. Let's see, let me go back to the other thing here. All right, so thanks, Joelle. Thanks, everybody, for coming. That was a little bit of a shorter one. I hope you like this, and I hope you go out and try it and customize your SharePoint toolbars and let me know how it goes. And have a great week. You can always go to iwmentor.com for all of our training courses, and you can also click schedule at the top to find out when the next Power Hour is going to be. So we will see you next time.